Hi, my name is Dave. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to do a video about what it was like when I was using way too much alcohol, why, what it felt like, and how I changed things. So looking back, I try to take every point and figure things out of why and how. At one point, many years ago, actually probably for many years, I drank quite a bit of alcohol. If I was not drinking, I was thinking about when I was going to drink, how much I was going to drink, what I was going to drink. It was just part of my daily schedule. If I had free time, I was drinking. Now, I never really realized why I would feel like I needed to do that. It was just sort of the process, the way things went. And now, after the fact, now I haven't had alcohol in many years now. And I tried to think of why I would have been in that schedule, in that situation, and how I can maybe help other people figure out if they're in the same cycle I was and how to avoid it. Now, I think that I had pretty high levels of anxiety at that point, at that time in my life, caused by outward circumstances, as well as, I think, caused by my own diet causing anxiety. I was very high carb, and actually, the alcohol was very high carb as well. I drank a lot of beer, which I'm not hating on beer. I love beer, but it's just part of the cycle. So I didn't eat well. I drank too much, and I'm thinking that I had very high levels of anxiety because I had probably prediabetes, diabetes, or metabolic syndrome. I think if I would have gotten an A1C test, I probably would have been diagnosed prediabetes at that point. I was eating a lot of sugar. I was eating a lot of carbs and drinking a lot, obviously. So that was the brain part of it. Now the other thing that's interesting is, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical person, I have no idea if this is true or not. It's just kind of what I've felt and what I've kind of put together through all the research that I've done trying to figure out what is my deal. I think that all those carbs and all the alcohol, which is carbs, fed a, a, a group of gut bacteria that was very responsive to those carbs that I was eating and drinking. So my brain was saying I needed alcohol because I was probably insulin resistant, and the anxiety it was causing made me feel like I wanted alcohol to, kind of squash the anxiety. But I think my stomach was requiring that I get alcohol or carbs to feed the gut bacteria that was in my stomach. So if you drink a lot, you eat a lot of carbs, you've got two devils that you have to try to squash. One in your brain, which is the anxiety, insulin resistance in your brain, and the other one is in your stomach. It's all the gut bacteria that wants those carbs to stay alive and feed. Now, there is one thing that I do remember that helped my stomach, besides just drinking 15 beers and eating a pizza. I do remember I started making sauerkraut, which is basically just cabbage, cut it into little slices, put it into water, under the water. You have to push it under the water and mix in salt. And you let it sit for 3 or 4 days, and then you eat the cabbage, which is fermented with lactobacillus bacteria, which actually does feed that stomach bacteria, that gut bacteria that needs the carbs. So eating that sauerkraut helped my stomach not feel like it was empty and I needed to fill it with beer or fill it with alcohol, or even for that matter, fill it with noodles and rice or whatever. So my stomach settled down a little bit, and then the anxiety kind of settled down some. Now, what's interesting is, and I had even told a friend this, if I had that craving in my stomach for alcohol, I could kind of make it go away for a little bit by eating, a piece of candy or anything with sugar in it would make it go away a little bit. And now I've read enough and I've seen enough that the science, it makes sense. It's my stomach crying out for the carb because the bacteria needs the carbs. There's a vein that goes from somewhere down south to your brain that your gut bacteria has a direct connection to. It can agitate or make it feel better. So when your gut bacteria is not getting fed, it sends signals to your brain and lets your brain know that it's a problem. So if you're drinking a lot, you're having a hard time quitting drinking because your brain is saying that there's too much anxiety and you need the alcohol to settle. The first way to solve for that is to eat very low carbs, like ketosis, keto, or carnivore diet, to slow down that whole anxiety piece in your brain. And then your stomach, you've got to feed your stomach. And some people will tell you, oh, just eat vegetables. Some will tell you eat just meat. And I don't know if that's the right thing or the wrong thing to do. Again, I'm not a doctor. But what I will say is that the fermented cabbage, the sauerkraut, probably Korean cabbage, kimchi, there's probably a ton of fermented vegetables that would make that stomach bacteria settle down and not be quite such an aggravator. So again, if you settle your brain down, settle your stomach down, it makes it much easier to find other things to do without just constantly thinking about drinking. And then the other thing is you have to change your schedule. If you're used to every day at 5 o'clock drinking a beer, or every day at 3 o'clock drinking a beer, or for me it was every day, any time of the day, it didn't matter. If I had free time, I was drinking. You just have to find something else to do at that time. Maybe make a list of 5 or 10 things that you'd like to accomplish over the next couple of days and try to work on that list. Cleaning up a room, cleaning up, a part of your house, or cleaning up your car. Maybe just take a couple minutes and call somebody that you haven't talked to in a while and spend some time talking on the phone with them instead of just hanging out, drinking beers, feeding your gut bacteria. Hey, if there's any questions on this video, do me a favor and leave it down below. I'd be more than happy to answer any of these questions. If this is interesting or helpful, I would greatly appreciate if you would subscribe to my channel. I'm going to add more of my experience in the future, especially having to do with my experience overcoming diabetes, prediabetes, and metabolic syndrome. I'll also be talking in the future about what it was like to be born and live in Florida, what it's like living in New York, what it was like living in Colorado. I'm going to talk a little bit more about my life experience. If this is any interest, do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe. That'd be helpful to me and I would really appreciate it. I'd love to share. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye-bye.